lately, apparently, it's water issues, but I mean, if and even if it's the opposite, if you disconnect and you log in again, I mean, we won't take those minutes away from you, because the things happen. In addition, please make sure your names are on the screen are the right ones, because when we wrote the certificates, you will have we will use the names that are actually on the screens. If your name doesn't appear on your screen, please write to Glenda, and glenda.velasquez@upr.edu, and let her know if it's sometimes it shows up a cell phone number or something. Just let her know that you took the workshop, so she can add you the time into it. Um, Also, make sure your microphones are off unless you want to ask questions. You can ask questions while I'm doing the presentation. I don't mind if you interrupt me if you have questions. You can ask questions, but some things are the microphones are really sensitive, especially on the phones. So we don't want to hear your private conversations. So with that said, I will start with uh, saying welcome to University of Puerto Rico, the Maya West campus. We are a land grant. I'm a professor. My name is Alexandra Gregory. And like Gregor, we use two last names. So Gregory is my first last name. Crespo is my second last name. And so I'm a professor at the Department of Agricultural Economics. I studied agricultural economics here in Puerto Rico, my undergrad and my master's. And then I continue studying in Kansas. I studied in Kansas State University, my PhD in agricultural economics. I went all the way. I'm one of those professors in my department that did all the way ag econ. So um and we're glad like people are joining and interested in what we have to offer. I've been teaching these workshops in Puerto Rico for a long time. I think since I started my career, because I work for the Agricultural Extension Service, and I have an appointment at the Department of Ag Econ. But I've been teaching this to farmer ranchers and trainers. These workshops I'm bringing up to you, especially they're more important right now, and farmers here in the island are um joining more in getting trained more before the pandemic. After the pandemic, you know people wanted to do other things, and especially trainings, and thanks through that online we are reaching a lot of people right now. um Also, and after Maria, like farmers and ranchers here in Puerto Rico have realized that they need to train themselves and be ready for a disaster, not just physically, like the farm physically ready, but farmers and ranchers have to be ready to start applying, during an emergency. They have to be ready, especially the next day or within days, to start applying for grant funds, any type of funding, incentives, and subsidies. And the only way they are prepared is by having the knowledge, and especially um, having all their paperwork, legal paperwork for their farm ready, so they can submit, usually so they can submit for and apply for these incentives and subsidies and grants. Because what the government asks, usually is for the legal documentation, and they just want to make sure they're giving a legal business, farm business, the money that you're needed. So with this, you know, this type of trainings, we only do not do that, but we help you also be ready to apply for them, because most of them you have to fill out a lot of paperwork, uh especially on the losses on your production, how you're gonna you know, present your production documents and stuff and your records. So this is why many farmers and ranchers are being trained over here in Puerto Rico with the trainings we're offering. With this said, I want to start my presentation. This presentation, usually I do it in 3 hours, but I'm doing it like splitting it in two, like 1.5 hours. Today, 1.5 hour on Thursday. And before that, I would like to change a little bit the time on Thursday if I can, because I have a conference until 4:30, but it's actually really close to my home. It's like what, like 400 meters from my home. So I just want to make sure I be here by 5:30. You know, if I don't make it to 5, please wait for me. And I'll join quickly. I'll leave everything set up here in my house, because the conference is actually in a hotel right next to my home. So with that said, the today's presentation, I uploaded it into one of my web pages. I blog in the chat, I posted the website, so you can get the presentation, and you can also get the YouTube video. The link will be there as soon as possibly. Maybe by next week, the link for the video should be available, because I have a student that uploads it. So, and I have to ask her to upload it if I can find her during the summer. So, but hopefully by next week it'll be ready, if at the latest. With that said, I would like to start with um my first presentation, how important are the how important are keeping records in any agribusiness. You know, we use the broad term agribusiness for farms, ranch, you know, farms, ranch, any type of agribusiness, like processors, people who supply input. You know, we use the broad term agribusiness, including farms. So today I'm gonna present only one part. I think I start with sales, which is the easiest one, and tomorrow on Thursday I will present the production records. So basically my objectives for these presentations are to present some basic agribusiness records, understand the importance of keeping records, especially purchase and usage of inputs, production and sales. Use these records effectively, reconcile what it is, production records and sales records, because it's not the same thing. Some people use production as sales, but that's not necessarily true. And interpret and utilize these records, the results, to analyze the enterprise and support decision making. So before going to explaining directly the records, I want to talk a little bit about what is an agro entrepreneur. There are many definitions for the term entrepreneur. Agro is just for, you know, people who work in the agricultural sector.
One second, Alex, your slides aren't loaded. You don't see the slides.
You don't see it?
No, we just see Zoom.
It should be okay. Let me see. How about now?
Yes, there we go.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I really thought I had it in. So there's many definitions for the term entrepreneur. Agro is just means it's in the agricultural sector. It's a business within the agricultural sector of a nation. But entrepreneurs are people who have the capacity and willingness to develop, organize, and manage business, assuming all its risks. It's in order to obtain profits. So entrepreneur is not just a person who sells a product. Entrepreneur is people who have the capacity to develop products, organize, manage a business, assume the risks, and obtain profits. And I like to add, and maybe I add it later. It's not just assuming the risk. It's also entrepreneurs also are um uh look into the market. They adapt into the market. And they adapt to what consumers need. I possibly talk about that later on, but entrepreneur possess what is commonly known as entrepreneurial spirit, and this is characterized by being innovative and willing to take risks. As you know, agriculture is the riskiest business in the world. I mean, there's no other enterprise or group of enterprises that assume as much risk as in the agricultural sector. Um, Entrepreneurs are part of a nation's economy to be able to compete also to a global market. That's by definitions, but a few definitions. Also, remember, I just told you that entrepreneurs also, agro entrepreneurs have to adapt into the market. Um, Usually in economic courses, we talk about economic resources. And we use the term entrepreneurial ability to refer to entrepreneurs. So who are those that entrepreneurs or the what we talk in economics as entrepreneur ability? Um, they are those that combine all other economic resources, which are limited and to produce goods and services. So what are the resources? Like land, which is a natural resources, capital, and labor. So basically an entrepreneur combine all those three to produce any goods. And agriculture is no exception to that rule, or an agro entrepreneur is not an exception to that rule. So as I told you, an entrepreneur is not a salesperson, it's not a merchant. So because they go above that, they adapt to the market. Although farmers and ranchers cannot adapt as quickly as other industries, like I cannot produce, let's say, cassava. I have cassava today, and tomorrow I want to have yams, for example. I mean, to change from one product to the other one, there's a waiting period for crops and for animals. It doesn't matter. So all those decision makings are not that as fast as other industries. Um, so an agro entrepreneur, one of those factors for survival of small scale farmers, it is Kahan indicated that farmers ranchers, either entrepreneurs, how you want to call it, the name, they have to have some characteristics, uh, especially adapting to the market, especially in a global economy. As you know, the Puerto Rico and US Virgin Islands are not the exception to that rule, although we do mostly business with the US, but the US does business with the whole, the entire world, basically. Cahan, which is a publication from the uh, Agricultural Food Organization, um, he developed this material, and he in his writings he indicates that small farmers we have will have a future if they behave like entrepreneurs. This is why I'm mentioning you the word agro entrepreneurs, because I mean, I knew that, but the Food and Agriculture Organization, they have this publication from 2012 that says that farmers, in order to survive, especially the small ones, they have to behave like entrepreneurs. So as I mentioned earlier, two of the most positive characteristics like farmers should have, it's one of the have, should not have, that's not what I meant. They should have, or they have, it's being innovative, and they are always seeking market opportunities, especially when there's a lot of competition. Obviously there's a lot of competition, not just your local farmers or ranchers, they're not your competition. The competition is the, the um the market, who has the biggest market share of your sector, or in an industry. So our entrepreneurs need skills on how to manage their business to obtain profits, so they can reinvest them, to pursue long-term growth. According to Cahan, they can improve their chances of earning profits if they take specialized courses in agro entrepreneurship, which is what we're doing today. This is, what we're doing today. So basically, the Food and Agriculture Organization says that education is one way to assist and help farmers and ranchers, to help them adapt to the markets. So Cahan, in his writings, he posted, we expect a lot from farmers and ranchers. I'm assuming it's the same in the US Virgin Islands, because the the farmer's profile is close to the Puerto Rican farmer's profile. Small farms, not a lot of income. We produce basically this same products, mostly the US Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. But we expect a lot from our farmers and ranchers. So we expect them to have a lot of knowledge in many things, but these are the areas that Cahan developed in his writings, what farmers and ranchers need to know in order to make profits into their farms and ranches. So basically, in the areas, they have to know about consumer behavior, market, supply and demand for goods and services, um prepare how to prepare business plan, how to prepare marketing plan. They have to know about marketing, how to promote their products, production of safe food that is essential right now, and it's by law you have to produce not just healthy food, but you have to have some standards for food safety also. Also in the knowledge areas, they need to know risk management, accounting records, financial records, added value, especially added value. We expect our farmers and ranchers to add value to their products, but if their farms are small, I mean, how much value we can add to their product, because they cannot have like a big factory, you know. So these are really tough decisions to make, but we expect from farmers a lot. That's what I want to make a note. They also have to know about information technology, cost and price estimation, pricing strategies, identify market niches and potential markets. This has to be with marketing a lot. Market segmentation, consumer preferences, legal aspects. They expect farmers and ranchers to know like the laws that apply to not just to your jurisdiction, to the entire US. Product differentiation, exports, and this in distribution systems. One of the knowledge areas is estimating cost, especially unit cost. And because if you know your unit cost, you can negotiate fair prices and you won't have to take losses. So some examples I have here, I have like a lot. I used to have a lot of farmers, or that basically they invest in their production and their crops or raising animals, and at the end of the day, if they see cash in their pockets, they're fine with it. um and that's not necessarily, you don't know how much profit you have, you don't know if you actually had profits if you don't know how much it costs to produce 1 pound of 1 cut of beef, uh 1 pound of cassava or yams or teniers. You need to know how much it costs you to produce all your products, especially unit cost. And cost is essential so you can establish your prices, and you can negotiate better prices for your operation. So also, I want to mention something. I think I went ahead, but too much, but to increase the contribution of the agriculture sector in the U.S. Virgin Island. This is a statement I always give here in Puerto Rico when I teach. We need to promote agro-entrepreneurial culture among farmers and ranchers, because farming and ranch they are a business. It's not a type of business that you want to end up and keep losses. So usually you're like, oh, people are like, oh yeah, you grow and that's free. The rain is free, but land is not free, labor is not free, inputs are not free. So the only thing it's free, if the government doesn't come up with a way to charge us, it's rainwater. That's it. That's the only thing, and sun, basically, those two. But they want to charge us uh uh maybe this for the sun. I don't know. I'm gonna turn off my camera because it's kind of distracting. I see myself moving a lot. um so but I turn it on at the end. So to increase, we need to promote the agriculture sector as a business. It's not a typical industry or typical businesses that most people are used to, especially resales. But it is a business. It's their production. It costs a lot of money to produce. It takes a lot of capital to produce 1 pound of any product, cassava, yams, taniers, plantains, bananas, etc. So with this said, I look into the USVI numbers for the ag census, and um actually I have to say it surprised me that the number of farmers in the US Virgin Islands is increasing, which is a good, I mean, in the census, that means you're doing business, you are making sure you count. And for the next census, I always say that to my farmers and ranchers here on Puerto Rico also, you have to count. You have to make agriculture count in in the US Virgin Islands. So please fill out the census. I don't work for the census in the Virgin Islands, but I do collaborate here in Puerto Rico with NAS and the USDA. And I use, as a student, this is long story short, I was an intern in NAS at the USDA here. I work for the census in Puerto Rico back in the day, and then basically working in for the census, it made me realize that I wanted to pursue a PhD. So because I saw the importance of having the statistics, especially the census one. Anyways, so that said, I want to start um um with the records. But before starting with the records, there's a few things I want to say. It's like a good administrator, I don't want to take a long time in here, but a good administrator has a few functions. As a administrator, you have to plan your production. What do you have to grow or raise? What cattle or animal you want to raise, what crop you want to raise, because obviously that is going to depend on the type of soil, on the climate, um on the weather conditions. But you have to plan. You have to plan and make sure you're going to get profits. You have to plan for the market. You have to plan and see if you have customers and what type of customer do you want to have. Basically, in Puerto Rico, the farmers are selling a lot of their products in niche markets, which is a good thing. In the US Virgin Islands, I heard there's a large group of organic growers or people who are doing organic practices so they can become organic growers, which is good because that's a niche. And that niche, usually the prices are a little bit higher than normal goods in agriculture. So, but you have to plan, you have to decide to make all those decisions. After you plan what you want to do, you implement, and then after the implementation, you control, which is basically you look into your numbers. Was I successful? Was I not? Did I have profits? How much profits? What did I do wrong? Sometimes I was telling the other day a student, sometimes you do everything perfect. You grow with good practices, you use, a lot of good practices, but maybe your seeds are not that good. So basically your production is not going to be that good. So you have to evaluate your numbers to decide if your um production was successful and you had a good business. And if the answer to any of those questions is no, then you adjust. You work, you adjust, you correct your problems and go back again and planning and implementing, get new information. Maybe, there's no market for that product you choose. So you have to plan and, after you control and do this evaluation, you adjust and go ahead and start the process all over again. Okay, so somebody's asking, how do you plan for the inability to get food for animals when food isn't imported in time? That is a good question. And that's a very good question. You have to plan ahead. Basically, if there's a hurricane and you don't have a port, what do you do? So basically, you have to plan, have some in storage, buy in bulk. There's animals adapt, and animals, you can feed them, um depending on the animal, grass, if it's cattle and small ruminants. But if I mean, at least in where we live, we have a lot of hurricanes. Hopefully there's none coming over this year to any of us. You have to plan and get more food, basically, at least for before, if the hurricane season, have enough food at least for a month. Keep restocking the food. If not, I'll say look for an alternative in food. um Grass, it depends on that's going to depend on the animal, but you should have a stock of food um before an emergency, especially hurricane. There are hurricane season at least a month to give, so you can have a cushion, for that. But if you need to, we have a professor here who wrote a guide how to plan for disasters in farming. I mean, I can see if he has something and maybe translate it into English. And Glenda, if you please tell me, it's Zamora has that guide. It is in Spanish, but I mean, I believe that part we can translate it in English, if you want it. But basically, you have to plan ahead. I have a friend, during COVID, he has a famous smoothie shop here in the island. He has like almost 20 locations now. And during, I think it was the last hurricane, it was a storm basically, but it hit really hard the south, especially bananas. And smoothies, he uses a lot of bananas. And I asked him, I was like, how are you getting your bananas so quickly? Because I went to his shop to get a smoothie. It was hot one day, and I went to get a smoothie at his one of his locations. And he told me, I planned for it. I bought containers of bananas before the hurricane, before the storm, and he was able to bring it in within a week. So he was, within days, he had his bananas in the island. So, basically you have to make sure people in the US, or, people who are selling in the US, are willing to ship the goods you need, the inputs you need. quickly or quickly enough. So let me see if there's some more
Yeah.
questions.
Adam Faye added, grow food for your animals. Start a worm bin to grow worms for your chickens, black soldier fly larvae, is a great choice. Build a mobile pig or goat pen 4x4 with two wheels and to move each day, each day. For bush, another section bush for them to eat. Talk to restaurants and ask to pick up their compost at the end of the night to feed pigs. And actually, I never thought of that one. That's a good suggestion. Restaurants. Yeah.
Yes, yes, that used to like pig hog producers here used to do that here a long time ago. They actually used to pick it up from the schools. So from the elementary school and high schools, when they go to the lunch to get their lunches, they separate the food from the other um trash. So yes, and you know it depends on the animal, as I said. Sheep, it's mostly grass. I mean, you can buy hay and or stock hay, at least to have hay for um at least a month, and make sure you put it in a safe place, that dry safe place, because you don't want your animals to uh get. That's part of the planning also, where you're gonna store the storage of that feed or hay. Where are you gonna store it? uh
Okay, and Adam says you can talk to solar farms about the sheep, and see if they can drop a herd on your property. And they need to set up water by the government. Solar farms are fenced in nicely. So
yeah.
Adam's an informed person. uh,
Yes. So
yeah.
basically, I'll say store, I mean, have a hay storage or grass, cut it before a storm. And so you can have enough at least for a couple weeks. It's the least amount, but a month should be better. If animals adapt. So, um, it depends on the animal also. Um, so I think I translated this in English, but it started and the first lines are in Spanish. So basically, planning is one of the fundamentals of the business. Planning is the fundamental function. It will determine the success of an agribusiness in planning. Um, you have to know all your available resources, what you have, what you need, the course of action, what procedures I have to follow. Um, Good planning is vital for the agri entrepreneur, because if you plan ahead, you can lower your risks. Remember, farming is the riskiest business in the world, because there's a lot of risks um that you have to take, especially in weather. I mean, we know about weather, but I mean, there's a lot of risk, legal risk, human risk. I mean, I can give you a full class just in risks. But planning will help you lower all the risks there are in the farm. um so especially in pricing, because I don't know in the US Virgin Islands, but prices here for the farmers vary very abruptly. I mean, one day I can have one price, and the next day I can have like half of the price of the previous day. So it is very volatile. So if you plan ahead, if you plan your crops and your production, I mean, you can lower the risk. I mean, you want your to set up your production when prices are higher, not when prices are lower, so you can get a higher um profit and higher income on your operation. Um Basically, planning is very fundamental, especially because of the weather, as we know. But weather change here so much, like some that right now we are kind of like in a small drought here in Puerto Rico. I don't know over there, it hasn't been raining a lot. We have hurricanes, we have floods, fungi, pest infestations, viruses. That goes for crops or animals also. So sometimes planning is also getting good seeds, good genetics for animals. And it is really important to get good genetics and get good seed, because if you have good seed, you're gonna have a good production. If your seed is not that wet, I mean it's not that good, um, you know, your return, your crops, your what you're gonna harvest, the amount of what you're gonna harvest is not gonna be all that great. So you have to start with the basics, with seeds, genetics, planning. Um, After all that plan, and hopefully I believe it's next week. I'll teach a little bit. I mean, about business planning. I'm gonna tell you what a business plan should have. Um, Business planning, I can be hours and hours of it and teach you how to do a business plan. I'll give you the basics, so and then we can do some technical assistance if you need to help you write your business plan. Um, because after you have your business plan, you implement. Usually, what I used to say in previous courses is that you better have a plan in paper and know your numbers in a piece of paper before investing money in something that you don't know, you're not going to know the return. It's better to fail in a paper, doing that your income and the cost in a paper, than investing your money and just putting up to faith and see if you have good profits. So planning is essential. um is very important. And part of the planning is also, after that, you implement. You combine all your resources, what you need to do. You produce your products, you sell your products, you harvest your product, and you sell them. After that, you need to evaluate, which is the control process. You're going to evaluate, how did you do? Did I do well? Did I maximize my profits? If I did not, what can I do? Did I sell all of my production? um I had once a farmer who called me to his farm, and he made the rookiest mistake there is. He grew a lot of what did he grow? Pickles. Um he had, like, I don't know, like 2 acres of pickles.
Cucumber.
Um
Cucumber.
and it's a pickles, right? I'm
Cucumber.
translating. Okay, right. So he grew like two 2 acres of pickles, and he basically grow them all at the same time, the entire 2 acres. And he went into the market um after the harvest, and he tried to sell it. which is a rookie mistake because you have to plan before you go into the market to sell it. You have to have customers. So he went into farmers market to sell like 2 acres of pickles. That's a lot of, there were a lot of boxes, believe me. And some people didn't, I mean, some even some big um buyers didn't want to buy it because they were not ready to buy that full amount. So the rookie mistake of not planning or having a person to buy your product beforehand, it's the rookiest mistake there is. So you have to plan for that. So if you know you're gonna harvest in 3 weeks, you have to, or a month, you have to start, looking for customers. Hey, I'm gonna have this much plantains or pickles or bananas ready. Will you be able to buy? How much are you're able to buy? Because you know that's part of your planning process. In addition, his other mistake was he planted the 2 acres at once. I was like, you should have planted one plot every month, and you will have continuous production every month or every week. So he didn't thought about that. He was just a beginning farmer. That's why he made the mistake. So I'm just telling you this because he is he was uh he lost a lot of money. Although he sell some of his production, but I think he covered barely or even almost make it to recover his costs. But anyway, that's part of control. And in the evaluation, you have to be willing to evaluate yourself, your results um, that you obtain. Um, but to evaluate your results, you need to have records. And this is where we start today, is with the records. The record that I'm gonna show you in a few minutes is the sales record. So basically, as an entrepreneur, you have to have accurate information about production, sales, costs. Your data should be organized in a way that helps you make the best decisions, um, and provides evidence to get grants, subsidies, incentive, and loans, and so you can be ready. Um, some farmers or ranchers, I don't know, in over there in the Virgin Islands, they have a record. They write down everything on a notebook. That's good. That's a start. But you want it to be on a table, as I'm gonna show you now. So you have all your information organized, and that's the tables I'm gonna show you. I mean, you can adapt to your personal preference or what your operation needs. But I'm gonna show you a few tables on how to keep these records, and that's part of the today's lessons. Also, records can help you verify financial situation of the business, efficiently and effectively monitor and controlling the cost and income of the business, and you're actually being more efficient in resource management and maintaining competitiveness in the market. So each business has to implement their own record keeping system to provide what the information that you need. Sometimes the information is for you. Sometimes the information you have to share it with government agencies or financial institutions, investors. It depends who you're gonna share your data and your records to. So basically, if you keep in mind this fundamental um, functions of an entrepreneur, you know, your operation can be successful. So again, records help you better make better decisions. There are some accounting records. I'm not gonna touch those, but accounting records we can use for many things, especially to evaluate your financial situation on your operation. But I'm not gonna expand further because I just have half an hour to present you the records. Although I just want to make sure that among the administrative functions, you need to have a business plan, a marketing plan, um, accounting records, search for incentives and subsidies, especially in not just during an emergency, but if you want to lower your costs, if you want to lower your liabilities, you need to search for incentives and subsidies actively. That's part of a job of a farmer and rancher, is always keep looking for incentives and subsidies. And there's a lot of people here in the island, they're like, oh yeah, farming, it's highly subsidized. Well, it's not highly subsidized here in Puerto Rico, but it's highly subsidized in many countries. US subsidizes a lot their farmers and ranchers. So is Europe. So part of the um job of a farmer is to seek for these because it will help you lower your costs. So those, if you lower your costs, you can give better prices to consumers. And this is why, food, supposedly food have to be are cheaper. This is why countries uh spend a lot of money into giving subsidies and incentives in the agriculture sector. Um, Also, the last thing I want to say is that you have to be prepared for emergencies. Having all your legal documents ready and organize your records and legal documents. This is a must. All subsidies and government incentives, grants after an emergency, you have to have all these because in hand, because they quickly ask you for it. Those are the first things they ask you for it when you apply for these. Sometimes the incentives and subsidies are first come, first serve. If you're ready before everybody else, you're probably gonna get, your share of the subsidy or incentive. If you're the one of the last one and the money is gone, you lost it. So we be always ready, be prepared, have your legal documents ready. So maintain accurate records, uh, especially to estimate cost of production and provide evidence for incentives and support loan applications. That's basically why you know we say that record keeping in an agribusiness is really important. These are the reasons. So these are some of the basic records in agribusiness. You have production, sales, input purchases, input usage, and employee payroll. Um, one of them, two of them are use of inputs and purchase of inputs. They're very similar but not the same. Because input purchase is not the same as input use. For example, I can buy 1,000 boxes to store and like to sell papayas. Let's say I sell papayas and I need boxes to sell them to to sell the papayas. So I buy 1,000 boxes, but I only sell 50 boxes, so I have 950 boxes in the storage, so my warehouse. So I cannot attribute that 1,000 boxes into my cost of production. I have to actually attribute the cost of the boxes that I use. And see the difference. Let's say each box cost me $1. I cannot attribute into the cost of production of papaya $1,000 because I only use 50 of them. So it's just $50 will be my cost of production of those 50 boxes. And you might not see the difference. There's a difference because usage and input purchase are not the same thing, and cost of production can be, you can estimate a cost of production higher than what you're supposed to be having. You by mistake, you can estimate it by mistake, and you might think that your cost of production is higher than what it actually is. So this is an example of a general input purchase. So basically all records start with the name of the record. And I call it general because you can put different inputs into this table. You can put fertilizer, you can put animal feed, you can put seeds in, any inputs you have or you purchase, boxes, pesticides, etc. The second line is the name of the agribusiness. It's always the name, like all records. I used to have a professor that it was really tricky with the tables. She's like, if you have a table in one page, you have to know what that table is and what it's for and who does it belong to. So basically, if there's a loose page in your records, you want to know what that record is, what those numbers are, who does it belong to, the name of the farm, the name of the record, and what's more important, the accounting period. You can put it in years, you can put it in months, it depends. You can adapt this to your own needs. You can make it like per year, per month, per week, it doesn't matter. I mean, I just give you a general description of what it should look like. You can add more columns into it or more, obviously you can add more lines into it, but you can add more columns if you need to. You can add a column of comments if you need to. So this general input purchase, you have to have the date you purchased the input, the name of the input, if it's pesticide, seeds, boxes or bags or whatever, quantity, how much quantity did you buy, the unit of purchase. Is not the same thing buying 10 bags of 100 pounds of fertilizer that buying 10 bags of 50 pounds, which would be the unit purchase, 50 pounds of fertilizer. It's not the same. Or a pesticide. I bought 1 ounce. There's a difference between buying 1 ounce and 1 gallon or 10 gallons. See, the unit purchase, it's really important because it's gonna tell you how much you have. Usually that column it's not perceived as important, but it is important because it's not the same me buying 10 ounces of a pesticide or fertilizer than buying 10 gallons of, because the quantity will be 10, is the unit purchase is what I want to know. 10 what? 10 ounces, 10 gallons, 100 pounds, 50 pounds. The unit purchase is really important. The cost of that, per unit, and how much you paid in total, the total value of what you spent on that purchase. And you have to add each item, each input into the table. For example, this is an example of buying fertilizer. Like, so I bought 5 bags of 100 pounds. Later I bought 2 bags, then I bought 5 bags or 5 bags of 100 pounds. And every time I made a purchase, I paid a different price. So, and it might be the same bag of fertilizer, but I paid different prices for every time I went into the market to get it. So the total value is not, I mean, it's not the same for all of them. This is just an example. Um, so you can also, as the average input cost of, let's say for that example of fertilizer, so basically I divide the total cost by the quantity I purchased. So I purchased 17 is the quantity I purchased, so 10, 15, 17. And then the total was 14 of that $1,425 divided by 17 is, so the average price of fertilizer is 83.82. So basically, as I said, purchase versus usage is not the same thing. So that was purchase. How, let's see, one usage. Usage, you can use the same table, but you actually have to write down how many did you use for that crop for a period of time. So basically it's the same table, but this is gonna be, instead of the quantity purchased, is the quantity used. This is basically the difference of that table. The rest is all the same because I want to estimate the cost of production, the total cost of production. So, or the cost of what I used. And so basically, if we use this same example, let me just present you the table, which is the same purchase of date, purchase date, the input name, the quantity used, the unit purchase, cost per unit. This is gonna change a little bit because if the usage, let's say I bought different fertilizers at different prices, which is the example I gave you before, what price should I use? Well, the ideal thing is to use the price of each of the bags you use, but this is not necessarily easy to do. So what should I use? So this is why I taught you how to estimate the average price, because in usage, when you estimate how much the cost of how much I use, we can add the average price and assign it to all the fertilizers we use. So basically, instead of the 17 we purchased, we use only 15. So what price should I add? I add to those 15 84.76, which was the average price. So basically, I use the average price instead of giving each one of them a unit price, uh, a cost per unit. I assign the average price, which is, and then the total value is 15. I use 15 times 84.76, which is the average price of the fertilizer. It gives me a total cost of $1,271 plus no and 40 cents. So basically, if we estimate the average price of one input, we can assign that value on to estimate the cost of the total value, or so we can estimate the cost of production. So since we bought 17 bags, and we use only 15, we should have in the storage 2 bags in the inventory. So how to estimate the cost of production? Cost of production, we actually estimated by adding all the total cost of everything, of all the inputs we use, not what we bought, but what we use, and divide it by the quantity produced. Quantity produced, it's gonna depend. Quantity, if it's units, if it's per pound, it depends how you sell the product. For example, if let's say we produce 2,500 pounds of cassava and our labor costs are 2,000, just to simplify the example, let's include the fertilizer costs we estimated in the previous slide. So the total cost should be $3,425, and we divide that by the quantity produced. What did I divide it by 1,000? I should have divided it. I made a mistake. I probably started the example with 1,000, and then I switched it to 25 pounds, 2,500 pounds. Let me just fix that right here. This should be 1,000.
Okay, good catch. I thought.
Yeah, I was like, what? Okay, got it. So basically, I divide the unit cost. I did it twice. So basically, I took the with the average. Remember the average price I used? It was 1,271, and the other one was 1,425. So remember, 1,271 and 3,425. So basically, I use both so you can see the difference. So the cost per unit, if we use the what we purchase, is $1.37 per pound. But if we apply only what we use in fertilizer, which is the example, it should be $1.30 per pound. So basically, there's a 7-cent difference. And I wish I made it a little bit bigger than that, but so as you can tell, I mean, it's not the same having a cost of production of 130 to 137, because sometimes the price in the market can be 137, and you said, oh no, that's my production cost. Not really, because your production cost was 130. You're having 7 cents per pound as profit. I mean, you're overestimating. If you use this number with what you purchased, you're overestimating your cost of production. This is what I want to show you. So basically this is the right answer. Just use the amount of inputs you use, the value of the inputs you use to estimate the cost of production. So basically we have these basic records in agribusiness that it helps provide detailed information to create accounting records for the agribusiness. There's some typos, I'll fix it later. And these records help with business plan, especially to set up a price. If you know your cost of production, as I said, if you know your unit price of production, you can set up your sales price. I mean, you can negotiate your price, but you would know when not to go lower than that, And always in the cost of production, you have to include your labor. So if you're the owner and you have employees, labor includes your labor as, the manager, and how much time you put into the business. So always include the part of the labor into the cost of production. So keeping all records for the agribusiness is important, as I said, so you can create and update your accounting records. Sales, like purchase and use of inputs they're very basic, but they're really, really important because this is what you need to start negotiating prices with your customers. This is why I gave you the first one. Is I always teach is this one. It's the most basic one, but it's the most useful one. You can, you can use. So basically this is my presentation. I actually did good timing. If any of you have any questions, I mean, you feel free to open the microphone. Because on Thursday I'm gonna present, which was the production records. Yes, production and sales, which are two different things also. So any questions? Thank you, cucumbers. I knew I was using the wrong word. Not pickles, cucumbers. Thank you. Is that in Spanish? Cucumbers and pickles is the same word.
Oh.
It's pepinillos. It doesn't matter which form you have it. So there was one word that I always confuse: cucumbers and pickles.
Well, I guess you just wowed them with your mathematician skills. While we just see if there's any lingering thoughts. If you're shy, you could jot it in the chat. Otherwise, as Professor Crispo said, you just unmute your mic and you can speak to ask the questions. Just wanted to again thank Dr. Crispo for her time and expertise with us, and then partnering with us, UVI and the SBDC Ag Business Center, here to bring forth this seminar. And this is part one of a two-part series, but we do have another section that will happen next week, and that is the agricultural business plan. So you want to stay tuned, and you do have to. I will double check again if you're having technical difficulties. We made it so that one link connected you to all of the series, all the webinars, but as you see, we kind of experienced some technical difficulties earlier on. So I think we may we'll test it out and see again if you are clicking into the link and then you have to log in again. Just complete the survey again, and it'll send you a new Zoom link so that way you are able to enter the presentation. Well, we have some people saying thank you, Dr. Crispo. Very good presentation, and want to know will the presentation be shared?
So yes, it's supposed to be in this website. Let me see. 'Cause the thing is that I logged in. Okay.
Okay, I would love to
So
show.
yeah, the first one, I have it in English and Spanish. I mean, Shay asked me to do it. I mean, I had it in Spanish, so I just uploaded it in there too. So just if somebody, so I'm gonna put presentations here, and I mean, in this website, there's gonna be in the menu, as you can tell on the website on the top. I have English USVI, so all the things I'm gonna share with you are gonna be in that website. I mean, this website is I'm just gonna post stuff for you guys. Um, the presentation, the videos. I'm gonna upload the videos later, at the latest next week. I'm also gonna post a few tools, spreadsheets you can use. I have one translated. There's a few of them that are not translated. I'm gonna just post them. The Spanish ones you can get here in tools, but the English versions, I'm gonna see if one of my students starts translating them. Also in this website, it is in Spanish. I mean, with AI you can translate anything now. Um, there's in the herramientas, which is tools, there is something which is called presupuestos modelo, which are enterprise budgets. These enterprise budgets, let me show you one of them. Let me see.
And the link is at the top. If you scroll back, I think maybe Dr. Crispo, you should put it down lower because if oh, you did, you put it down
I
lower.
did, I put
So
it
the
on the
link is
chat. Yeah.
inside of the chat. You also that you can click and copy and paste and have it and save it in your browser.
So yuca is cassava, right? This is because I know you grow cassava. This is why I
Yes.
talk about cassava. So basically, and presupuesto modelo is an enterprise budget. It is for Puerto Rico, but I mean, with AI, anything is possible now. So you can basically translate it into English because this is what at least Puerto Rico costs to grow a cuerda, which is almost an acre of cassava. So basically, this is how much, and there's some assumptions here about the how to grow the crop. But basically in Puerto Rico, the net income for one crop of cassava, that is 3,644 and 21 cents per acre for just one crop. It's almost an acre. So it gives you the income and the cost of production. I mean, I'm assuming it's the same practices that we use here that you use over there. So I mean,
Yeah.
it is available. It's not in English, but you can easily translate each word using chat GPT or AI. So basically you have your expenses. These semillas are seeds, um herbicides, fertilizer, and then there's the income down here, and these ones are by formula. So basically in cuerda you plant 3,600 plants of cassava. If you plant them in plots 3 by 4 feet, basically. And so it gives you a rough estimate of what you produce also. So I mean, it's stuff you have over there. It's enterprise crops. I don't know if you have those in the US Virgin Islands.
Mm, can't think right off the top of my head at the moment, but I'll get back to you. And then
Yeah, but I
we'll
mean,
work on the
these are
translation.
these enterprise budgets are actually used by Farm Service Agency and other financial institutions here to give loans to farmers and ranchers. Well, to farmers because there's no ranches here.
Okay.
But
Miss
they use,
Martin,
yes,
the form was in the Spanish. If you pay attention to the screen, Dr. Crispo was showing you. Dr. Crispo, you go back. It's under the Spanish translation right now. They're working on you see next door to it says English USVI. They're working on, translating some of the information to English, but that particular spreadsheet is right there where Dr.
this
Crispo
is called
highlighted.
in tools right here, herramientas, presupuestos, modelos, our enterprise budget. I mean, it's not literal, the translation on this one. So you will take it to these, and there's a few. Do you have like sweet chili peppers? Ñame is yams. There's plantains. There's bananas. Uh, Cubanelle peppers. Berenjena is on the top of my head. I don't have it.
No problem. I think we get the idea.
So let me see. Cantaloupe. Berenjena is
Okay, that's cantaloupe. Okay.
honeydew. I should have a few more actually.
See, we'll work on it. I see peppers down there, pimento, or that bean. Pimento is bean.
Pimiento.
Mhm.
Pimiento is peppers.
Peppers. Okay. So that's where you go, Miss Martin, to get it for the English right now if you want to have access to the documents until we're able to translate them to Spanish, I mean English. But
English, yeah. So basically, I'm gonna post the English stuff here where it says English on the top, and you will have presentations. It should take me
a
to
week. You said about a week. So
uh,
give her a week for her to edit this and clean up some of the errors we saw tonight in the presentation. And in about a week, it should appear. The link there that Dr. Crispo gave us, the link is there. www.acrocolapor Puerto Rico. I think it's, wait, am I saying it right? Mercado Agrocola PR.
mercadeoagricolapr.com.
Yes, that's the link to get this information.
Yeah.
And it does, when you go in there, it give you the option of having to translate it to English or Spanish, but just give her a second. Give us a second. We're waiting. We're, working on the English tab of the presentations.
Um,
So,
I'm,
and,
I'm
Mr. Eric Akerns, please contact me here. Great, that's wonderful. You have a fungi farm. I'm sure when they come over the end of the month, they'll be interested in seeing that. So contact me at the Agriculture Business Center. The telephone number is 340-692-4295. I'd like to be able to add you to the list. Thank you so much for volunteering.
my email, it's I think it's in the presentation. If not, let me just type it
And
right
put it
now.
in the chat. We'll put it in the chat. We'll put all of our contact information in the chat.
Gregory at upr.edu.
Yes.
So that's my email. I mean, you can write me. If I don't answer to you quickly, it's that sometimes I'm stuck doing doing some other work, and sometimes I rather work than
Be doing
right.
it.
I mean, answer emails. It's not being lazy. It's like I either work or do work, actual work, or write emails, which is also work. But anyways, I mean, if I
Yeah.
don't answer to you in a week, I just keep emailing me. Sometimes
Yeah, you can
it's like,
contact me here. I'll take the brunt for you, Dr. Crispo. So
yeah,
we're going to
yeah,
be,
yeah.
as we said, working collaboratively over the next few months to bring you a number of other sessions, helpful sessions. We hope you found this very interesting and helpful. And then there will be a survey after this. Please, once you see the survey, please complete it. Don't just, put it in, delete it, and put it in your junk box, because this helps us help you figure out what we should be presenting to you, what we can help you with, and any suggestions that any of you have on what topics you would like to hear about or cover. So by tomorrow, you'll have another follow-up survey that goes out after this presentation. But again, our contact information, and go ahead and get it now, because when we close the presentation, they will disappear. But again, I'm Shay Roberts, the director at the Agriculture Business Center here on St. Croix. And we have Dr. Crispo, who is a professor at the University of Puerto Rico, Mayines. I think I got it right. I'm getting better.
iOS, yes.
Again, we want to thank everyone for coming out this evening and joining us and taking the time, but still stay tuned to part two, which will take part on Thursday. And just give us a few moments. Dr. Crispo has another engagement she'll be rushing from to get to us. I'll be online and we'll just hold the line for you, Dr. Crispo, until you get on. And then we'll just immediately go into the session. And as she said, for attending today and attending Thursday, you will receive a certificate. So, but you must be present at the second part as well. So that will go for the same as next week. You must attend all sessions to get the certificate of completion. So if I don't see any further questions, Dr. Crispo, any final words or wrapping up you want to?
No, thanks all of you for staying and bearing, with us, and hopefully you will find this interesting. I know what I teach is not the most interesting, but it's the most important one,
Mhm.
because it is, producing in the farm is kind of relaxing for some people, but the selling is what you need to focus on. It's usually, as I say, um it's not your product, it's your marketing that's not, your marketing techniques are not working. So you have to put a lot of effort into planning in a farm business, because you know profits, they come as easy as they go also. So sometimes you have profits, sometimes you don't have that high, high profits, but you have to plan for all that. And this is what we are actually teaching, to help you lower your risks, and keep those profits manageable, and at the same rate all the time. So basically, you will find what we teach interesting and helpful. If not, I mean, so thank you all for coming in.
Okay, well, that concludes this session. I'll see you all on Thursday for part two of how the importance of how to keep production and sales records. Everyone have a good night and take care.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Gracias, Glenda.